The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Welcome in to an all-new edition of the Belly Up Fantasy Live Baseball Show presented by Belly Up Sports, Righteous Felon Jerky, and Seat Geek. And it's draft night here in the Belly Up Studios. I'm Vince Stover, joined as I am every show by the one and only senior writer at BellyUpSports.com, Kevin Wilson. Hey, Kev, how you doing?
We're doing great, and we're within 1 minute now of kicking this off. So it's here. No more strategizing, no more, trying to figure out what we're going to do. Now is the time.
Well, then, right. I'm still going to be figuring out what I'm going to do, but yes, we're here. I did a draft. I did a long draft the last couple of weeks and got that done, and then I've got a draft again tomorrow. I did a draft on Friday as well. So it's draft season, man. We're into it right now. And what we're going to do during this broadcast, we're 20 seconds away from our first pick. This is a 10-man points league, fantasy baseball league on ESPN. And throughout the night, we're going to do this whole draft here live. And then we're going to be talking about the picks, talking about the strategies behind it. And we're also going to be welcoming in some guests throughout the evening as well to talk more strategy. What were they thinking when they made these picks and things like that? We are officially underway. And my goodness, we're moving quickly. Nathan Nuya takes the first overall pick, and he took, of course, Shohei Ohtani. Kevin, when you look at Shohei Ohtani, there's no question that he's the number one pick. We've talked about it this whole off season, and no surprise there, right?
No surprise, and I'm glad he just jumped on that. And so, wow, you already went to it, and
well, we talked about these top picks, and you're basically looking at. I took Aaron Judge number 2, so you got Shohei 1, Judge 2. We figure Soto, Ramirez, and Witt are going to be in some order the next 3 picks, and Soto goes 3. So I think the top 5 should be pretty well set. Bobby Witt had a scare this week, though, Kevin.
He did.
Does that make you change your thoughts on Bobby Witt, even though he avoided major injury?
Not really. The one that you have to question right now is Betts, because he's going to miss the games in Japan, and he lost 15 pounds, which he's not a big guy to begin with,
right?
And so you have to ask yourself, am I going to take him this early? And so that's the real question right now. Witt escaped any kind of, because I see that he is fully ready to go. So I have no questions. And I've got 8 seconds and I'm going to be making my pick. So we'll see.
Does Mookie Betts, we looked at him as being the number 6 guy. Where does that put Mookie Betts in your book now? Does it push him back down?
If all he's going to do is miss the first 2 games, I think I'd be comfortable taking him at 6, given that he's a shortstop outfielder. And I'm up on right now, so I've talked about it. We just talked about it. And I'm not going to shy away from Mr. Witt, because unless there's an injury, there I go. There's no way to go wrong with this selection. He's still young. He's got speed. He's got the power. And so he's going to be in a pretty good lineup. So I have no issues taking Mr. Witt whatsoever.
Yeah, top 5 win is planned with Ohtani, Judge, Soto, Ramirez, and Witt.
Well,
we're seeing things fly.
Your dad took Mookie, so he's okay with it. Apparently.
That, or he doesn't know what happened. And then the big surprise, Adley Rutschman goes first round to Ryan McCarthy.
There's your favorite guy, Kyle Tucker, right there.
Kyle Tucker off the board, so I don't even have to worry about that.
Okay, so given that, there's some guys that are going to be pushed back to us that we were not anticipating.
Yes. I'd say Rutschman's the only one off the board that we didn't see go in first round or in this area.
Chase takes Jordan, which I'm down with that.
Yeah, Alvarez goes 9, Guerrero 10, and we'll talk to Brent in a minute to get his thoughts on these picks. He's going back to back here, going in from into the first round into the second round, and he goes Lindor with the second.
That's the guy I was targeting. Not anymore because I got Witt, but if I had taken Ramirez,
yeah,
I would thought that he would be a logical second round pick, but Brent's already got him.
Yeah, we're 11 picks in, no pitchers taken yet. Skubal's the expected number 1 overall pitcher. Wheeler, of course, is up there as well. Paul Skeens, another guy that's up there. You and I, we talked a lot about these pitchers and kind of shying away from pitchers early. I know some people actually listened to us on that, where we said, listen, if you take a pitcher in the first round, he gets injured, it's going to hurt you a lot more than taking an offensive player in the first round. And yeah, you saw it as well as anyone last year with Strider.
Right. And so Corbin Carroll's off the board. I like that selection in the second round. And so he's got his outfield pretty stacked already.
There you go. We got our pitcher off the board. Already, Elizabeth has a better team than she had last year. With Kyle Tucker and Tarik Skubal as her first 2 picks. Congratulations, Elizabeth. There, McCarthy goes back-to-back catchers, excuse me. With
okay,
William
Contreras. I would like to have him live to explain this.
So I did this in a league too, but it wasn't in the first and second round, where I took the 2 top catchers, and my mindset was I can trade one of these guys to a catcher-needy team. This is intriguing. First two rounds, and I'm starting to think that inviting Ryan was a bad idea. I'm trying to figure out if he's just playing with us now, trying to kind of
so now I'm up
in the league or what.
And this is a decision I had to make when I did a draft earlier because Skeens is sitting here right now.
Yeah, and Skubal and Wheeler are already gone, so we know we got two pitchers gone.
I don't think I wasn't planning on taking a pitcher this early, but I don't think I could pass on Paul Skeens. And so I'm going to do it. Paul Skeens is coming to Team Wilson, and there he is.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm willing to take the risk on this all the way because he's obviously young, entering his second year, and
well, he's an elite pitcher.
He is, and so we've got a bunch of pitchers here that are on at the top of the board. So we'll see if the pitchers, what happens with them. I'm surprised that Skeens came back. Well, like I said, I did a draft this morning that this happened. And that's the first time, though. And I've done a lot of mock drafts. And but here it is, the real thing. And he was there. So I had to bite.
Yeah. So we're at pick 9 in the second round. I'm up. Second round so far, Lindor, Carroll, Skubal, Contreras, Wheeler, Skeens, Gunnar Henderson, and Freddie Freeman. So basically all the guys that I wanted to see in the second round are gone, which is just awesome.
There's Mr. Burns for you.
Yeah, I'm not taking a pitcher yet. It's just not. That's just my philosophy there. You go Tatis here. I don't know. At this point, there's pitchers for sure. I got another guy that I wanted, but I thought it's a little bit of a reach. And if hopefully Nate doesn't draft him, I can get him on the turn here, and we'll talk about that in a moment as we're at pick number 10 in the second round. Let's go ahead and bring on our first guest of the evening, Kevin. He is a Yankees fan from north of the border, the one and only Brent Redlinsky. He's the host of the 1420 Sports Bar podcast as well. How you doing, Brent?
I'm doing okay. Busy, but always a pleasure to come and talk to you guys, especially about baseball. Hey, for once. This is good.
Yeah.
And you're up, Vince.
Yeah, I got you. Let's talk about the turn at the end of the first round, Brent, and your philosophy. You go Vlad Guerrero at 10 and Francisco Lindor at 11. Did you consider a pitcher there, or were you kind of determined, no, let's not go there yet?
I thought it's a little early to go pitcher. You just never know. Pitchers are going to elbows and shoulders. Everything going to last out. Eventually, you got to grab some. But my thought with Guerrero is he's playing for a contract, and he said no to a lot of money, and you just never know what he's going to have a bit of a fire in his belly a little more than usual. It's too bad for Jays fans. He's not always like that,
All
but
right. So
it's just one of those things that you go, you know what? He's going to be playing for even more, because if he doesn't produce, he turned down $50 million. Not going to look very good.
For sure. Last year, a lot of people went on that philosophy with Alec Bregman, and it didn't work out as well as they hoped. And we see it didn't work out as well as Alec Bregman would hope in the offseason as well. We're continuing to roll through here. Third round, we've got Ketel Marte, Ellie De La Cruz, Dylan Cease, Logan Gilbert, Marcus Semien, all gone halfway through the third round. And we're here talking with Brent Redlinski from Belly Up Sports Media Network, and big time baseball fan. Brent, I know you had one of the newest Belly Up additions on the baseball world on your show the other night. And of course, everything's pretty much baseball right now with you as well. How excited are you about this spring? Is there anything that happened so far in the spring that maybe got you more excited than you were already for the upcoming baseball season?
I hate to say it, I think we mentioned last week when we were on the corner booth there, but the Red Sox are a much better team than they have been in years past. So there might be that Yankees-Red Sox rivalry might come back. I mean, it's never going to be the same as it used to be when the Red Sox finally won one after 125 years or whatever it was. But I think that it's when those two teams are not liking each other, I think it's good for baseball. A lot more people tend to tune into that one. That rivalry has kind of been dead for a while. But the media's kept it up, and now with the Red Sox being back to where they should be, and the Yankees I don't think the Yankees are as bad as everybody says they were. I mean, Vince, we picked them last week to win the American League, and then a couple little elbow went out here and there, so it's a little bit different in Yankee land too. But I think that's going to be a great rivalry. That's going to be one great thing for people to watch for sure.
Sure. You just want to make sure you know you're on the clock.
You're on the clock.
Yeah. This guy gets on base a lot, so I'm going to take him for sure.
Oh, there we go. Quan
Okay.
and Tucker.
He's a guy I have never been that high on. So
Quan and Tucker are two guys I'll never draft, and so I'm glad that other people.
Thanks for giving me a heads up. About 14 seconds too late there, fellas. I just figured he's the kind of guy who's always gets on base, always gets a lot of hits, and might do a little bit of damage. And Cleveland's going to be right there. The American League Central is one of those divisions where a lot of teams are going to be right there to win a number of games. So I don't know. I don't think it's the worst.
No, it's not. It's not.
You guys made it sound like it was the worst thing I've ever done in my life. A lot worse things today than just that. And then I'm going to. I got to go with the pitcher eventually. No, I don't. I'm going to go with the. No, I've already got one of those. You know what? I'm going to go right here to Bryce Harper. Right there. There we go.
I like it. I was hoping he'd fall back to me. Quan is a guy. He's always fantasy relevant. He always does his thing. I like him better in categories leagues than I do point leagues. Yeah. But again, he's just a guy that I feel like I can get something similar to what he is later in the draft. So that's why I always kind of pass on him. Kyle Tucker is a guy that I just, for whatever reason, don't like. He's my Austin Eckler. I refuse. Well, Brent's not a football guy, but I refused to draft Austin Eckler for years. He's a great running back in Los Angeles or in the Chargers for so many years. I just stayed away from him, even when he was great. And eventually it paid off when he wasn't great anymore, but nonetheless. Hey, talk to me about the Yankees. Garrett Cole goes down. That's huge news. Obviously, they brought in Max Fried in the offseason. They got other pitching injuries as well. So what are you thinking about these Yankees right now?
I think they're still okay. I had a show last week that I think that they're okay. They're a better team than they were last year. They went and got Williams, your closer from Milwaukee. So I think they're better right there to begin with. And they have a left fielder. Yeah, he might not be able to catch the baseball, but apparently he can hit a little bit in Dominguez. And they didn't get anything from left field last year with Verdugo and his teeth and his chains and everything else that's going on with him. But I think they're better there. They're going to have Jack Chisholm at second base. So I think they're better offensively and defensively at second base. And they're going to get a little bit maybe anything they get out of first base this year with Goldschmidt compared to what they got out of Rizzo last year, it's all better. And they won the division last year. So you do lose Cole and you lose Heel, but Heel, he was 1 year. So could you depend on him anyways? I don't know. But losing Cole obviously hurts, but Fried kind of would have been a one. I don't want to say a 1A in comparison to Cole, but he's a good 1B. And I think that they're okay. I don't think that it's time to pull the fire alarms and everything else at the airplane. I think that they're okay for right now. And you never know There was some disparaging comments that I heard Steinbrenner say last week about how the Dodgers are playing on a different playing field than the Yankees are, which I thought that's kind of rich coming from Steinbrenner. But I think they're fine. I like if you're going to go $10 over the luxury tax, I might as well go $200 million. Who cares?
So Brent, I just took Santander up there in Canada now. So I've been big on him. A lot of people have not. What's your take on him?
Good player, not a great player. Good player. There's a reason why he stuck around and ended up in Canada. I shouldn't say that about the Jays. I mean, it's you just wonder why he stuck around for so long and why the Orioles. Yeah, money, I guess, but eventually the Orioles should have spent a little bit of money to keep that team kind of moving forward. He's a good player. Great, no, actually, you know what? He's a really good player. That's my thoughts on him.
So fourth round, is that too high?
No.
Okay.
No.
I don't think so either.
Out there.
So third round is complete. We got our fourth round is complete. Excuse me. Bryce Harper, Chris Sale, Matt Olson, Cole Reagans, Framber Valdez, Santander, Clase, first relief pitcher off the board, Seager, Jackson Churio. I'm a little surprised he lasted that long. I'm happy that he did. I ended up getting him. And Luis Arias as well on there. And we are halfway through round 5 with Blake Snell.
He's really good. Like
he is.
He's like that's one guy up until there was a night in October there, he was lights out. That kind of worked out on my end. But no, he's solid. That's the guy's going to get you a lot of points.
Yeah, he is. He's one. He's number one when it comes to relief pitchers right now. He's the guy, no doubt about it. We've been going through these team previews, and I'd sit there and go, man, a lot of these closers are getting up there in age right now, and that's starting to get a little scary. I mean, John Smoltz was amazing at an old age, but it's just not the same kind of baseball player as when John Smoltz was playing. So I'm intrigued to see if old age has an effect on relief pitchers this year.
You almost got to bring up the medical record and see how many Tommy Johns they've had at that point and see how the elbow's going to last. Like, and I'm not even being funny about that. You just never know.
Right.
If they haven't had any, I wouldn't take them. Like I really wouldn't. Like because eventually they all get it, right? So I wouldn't take a guy without one a few stitches on the elbow right now. I just wouldn't. If he doesn't have any stitches, don't take him.
Let me ask you about one player, and then we're going to let you go and bring on the next guy. But the New York Mets announced opening day starter Clay Holmes, reliever for the Yankees. Now he's a opening day starter for the Mets. Me and Kevin had talked about him earlier in the season, but give me your thoughts on him being a starter this year, and even opening day starter.
Well, for those who are just listening to us in podcast form later on, you wouldn't see the smile on my face and the smirk and the laugh coming from my belly. Like that's the Mets. The Mets are going to Mets. Like Jeter said in his documentary, they're the Mets. Like the guy couldn't be a starter for the Yankees across town. It's just a Met thing to do. He's really good. You know, if he's going to be an innings eater, like that's all starting pitchers are really nowadays. So if he can stay healthy, keep rolling forward, it's not the worst thing. I mean, it's you go out there and they had Diaz in the back end anyway. So, but they're the Mets. That's just what the Mets do.
All right, talk us through your picks here. You're on the turn again at the end of round 5, start of round 6.
Gonna go with I gotta go with the starting pitcher. We talked about this a while ago, Vince. The Seattle Mariners, Luis Castillo, they're gonna win some games this year. And he's an innings guy. And you know who was really good? Maybe this is my Yankee bias. Michael King. He kind of had a little bit of a breakout year with the Padres last year. So there's my 2 right off the bat. We're getting some pitchers lined up. There it is.
There you go. Awesome. Brent, tell us about the show, the podcast, where people can find it, when they can find it, and any other information about content you're putting out these days.
1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 Beer Sports, talking a whole lot more. It's all baseball season, so I got a lot more stuff coming on. Next couple nights, I got a person from Seattle coming on, kind of talking. Then another guy on Wednesday talk about some of the Orioles. And next week we got the Belly Up Super Show coming up, so that should be a lot of fun to talk some more baseball and throughout the summer. I'm going to pay attention. I got my baseball team that I run in order a little bit more this year, so I got more time to take part in the Belly Up fantasy draft, and then enjoy meeting up with you guys as always. Thanks, guys.
Awesome, Brent. Hey, thank you. We'll try to catch up with you during the season at some point as well.
There we go. Thanks, guys.
All right. See you, Brent. Brent Radlinsky.
Willie Adames. There he is. Your dad.
All right.
No, Ryan beat him to it. Yeah, Ryan beat him to
it. Dad's picking, so let's bring him on and distract him because he always loves that. Hey, Dad, how you doing?
Hey, doing good.
Good. He's Dale Stover. He's the co-host of the Sports Stove Football Show every week, and me and Dad do the show every week. Excited about that. He still goes a Giant though, with Webb there as a pitcher. Dad, what do you think of the first 6 rounds so far in this draft?
Well, I'd say it's staying about where we thought it would. It wouldn't necessarily be in the same order I would have thought, but as far as the players, hasn't been a whole lot of surprises. Has been a couple of relievers so far and things like that. So I've been pretty pleased to get to get what I was looking at this stage so far. So,
did you consider Jackson Chourio right before I picked him? No.
No. Okay. I took Merrill earlier, and so I was fine with that.
So what about Willie Adames coming off the board right before your pick?
I wasn't going to pick him on this pick, so I'm a little surprised. But hey, I can understand, Kevin to be very interested in as many Giants as he could. So.
Yeah, Dad says, Kevin, you don't ever say anything nice about the Giants. So let's give one nice thing about the Giants.
They have a great ballpark.
There you go.
Great ballpark. I like it.
It's true. I've seen it myself, so I know of what I speak. So
let's see. We're talking. I'm up to pick. I don't know who I'm going to pick right now.
So I took Josh Naylor. Dale, what do you think about that?
That's the guy I would have been looking at. So yeah, I think that's a really good pick. I wasn't going to let him go too far. So.
All right, so I ended up going Julio Rodriguez. At some point, Seattle has to figure out their offense. And if they're going to do it, it's going to be Julio Rodriguez. So I know he's got some injury issues coming into the season as well, but I don't know. At some point, we're in the 7th round. I mean, my goodness, if you can't take him in the 7th round, when can you take him? Because I think last year, is he a 1st round or 2nd round pick, Kevin?
He was. Remember, they said he was going to go later. And I said he should have went sooner, and I was wrong.
It happens.
All right, so I'm up, and you know what? I'm going to go and Mr. Imagina.
Imanaga.
Okay.
While Dad's picking, let me run through the order real quick. In round 6, we got Michael King, Vinny Pasquantino, another catcher, Will Smith, Willie Adames. We got Webb, Naylor, Devin Williams, Pablo Lopez, Max Fried, and Trey Turner. Here in the 7th round, man, we got relievers going off the board now. Miller, Julio Rodriguez, Ozzie Albies. Then Diaz comes off the board as another relief pitcher. Imanaga, Langford, and we're at pick number 7 in the 6th round with Ryan. Dad, talk about the Jake Berger goes next. Dad, talk about the Giants.
I was targeting him way later.
Dad, talk about the Giants and your excitement. They finally signed a free agent.
They did. Of course, unfortunately, preseason doesn't mean anything, but they've been playing pretty good into preseason. So we'll see. And they've got some young guys that are going to be coming up during the year. So again, very tough division there with, of course, the Dodgers and Diamondbacks, and we'll see. I'm not sure where the Padres will be on this. So. We'll see where it goes, but I think we can be competitive. So,
yeah, it's such an interesting division. We talked about the Diamondbacks and how much me and Kevin believe in them this year, mainly because of their rotation. What do you feel is the Giants' strength this year? Because it seems like they got. I don't know. Do they have a strength? I don't know what the Giants' strength is. Do you know?
I think their pitching will be pretty good. I think the pitching is going to be better than people think it's going to be. And so I think they'll do okay with that. Again, it'll just depend on whether some of the young guys, develop or not. And we'll see how Adames does, if he can be a leader there and be a help. So, and we'll see. Chapman had a great year last year. Will he have that kind of year this year? We don't know. So
I'd like to see the Giants call some guys up, go ahead and go with some of the young talent that's down there in their farm system, and maybe move on from some guys that have just been average or maybe slightly above average even. I think it's time for them to move on. First base is one. They've got a prospect down there. I'd like to see them move on at first base. But you got Buster Posey running the team now. You pretty happy with what he's done so far?
I think that'll be a very big plus. I think, just as far as general attitude, but Posey, great baseball player. I think, hopefully he can be a great baseball mind. And so I think that's one of the biggest reasons to be positive. It's great to have him in the organization.
Dad, do you want to talk any trash about your fantasy hockey league?
No,
you and I are getting ready to go toe to toe, Dale.
Yeah, we've got the leader right here, but we've had a couple good games between us.
We have.
He's number one, and I'm number two in the league. So we'll see. Unless your son Camden can upset him here, we probably may be headed for the championship. We'll see.
Yeah, well, if there's anything I can tell you about Kevin, is he's up there at the top all the way until the end, and he makes a wonderful second place person in your league.
At the top until the end, and then I go off the wrong diving board or something happens. So we'll see.
Round 7, the rest of round 7, Jake Berger, Helsley, and Iglesias, 2 more relief pitchers. Bellinger to round out round 7. Round 8 so far, we've got Donovan that goes at round 1. I like that pick. Yanier Diaz, another catcher, gone. Schwarber off the board now.
Don't have to worry about me taking him this year, so we're good there. So
yeah, we're at pick 4 in the round 7. All right, Dad, you've been playing fantasy baseball now for a while. Anything that you've learned in your fantasy baseball experience that you would say, especially around the draft? I know you do a lot of draft prep, so maybe some draft ideas for our listeners.
Well, I think, again, I do a lot of prep. I listen to a lot of different things, your podcast. I listen to some others, get some ideas. The biggest thing as you get close to the draft is just keep up on the news. Who gets hurt? Who's looking good in the spring? Who's going to be a starter? Who's going to be in the rotation? All those things change, right up until the season starts. Of course, in fantasy baseball, you can change your lineup pretty quick, and you really have to do that. So that's kind of where that goes. You try to have a strategy and stay with it as long as you can. I've only been in a points league a couple years now, and it's a lot more fun. I enjoy it a lot, and looking forward to this auction draft tomorrow night, actually, too. But the points league's good. I kind of got a lot of my strategy from Kevin. We don't go about it the same way, but we try to. I try to end up at the same place, and it served me pretty well for 2 years. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes this year. It definitely takes some catching on, going from a categories league a lot of years, to switch into that.
So how would you say you and I differ, Dale?
Yeah, I mean, the scoring, it's different. There's much more emphasis on pitching. And again, having holds, having scoring things that you don't have in, some categories leagues, or at least in the league we had. So, it's just, you have to keep up on any fantasy baseball, but definitely on a points league. Because you can get so many points every night. So the idea of who's playing who, who's there, it takes a little more work, I think, but it's a lot more fun to keep up with.
Awesome. All right, Dad, you want to tell everybody about the awesome show that you co-host each week, or typically on Thursday nights these days?
Oh, yeah, this football show, it's quite the thing to tune into, no doubt about it. And I tell you, so much sports going on right now with March Madness. And but you would think, well, football's over, and man, there's football happening all the time. So we keep up on it. We're Packer fans, and of course we're very, very unbiased when it comes to the North. People will find that out if they listen to it. From there, I mean, we're very consistent. We love the Packers, and we hate everybody else in the division. So.
I like it. Dad, I appreciate you staying up long enough for us to have you on the show.
Hey, hopefully I'm going to stay up long enough to get a few more good players here. We will see. So fairly happy with how it's going so far. We just have to, just have to see. There hasn't been anybody really hang around a whole lot like you would hope, but we'll
let me
see how
ask
it
you.
goes.
Let me ask you about Mookie Betts. He had a little injury issue. He's going to miss the first series. Not a huge deal. Any thoughts? Any second guesses on Mookie Betts before you pick him?
No, that's kind of who I thought would be available. I was hoping maybe Mike would take Skubal early and then somebody else would drop, but it didn't happen that way. Mookie Betts is just, too good to pass up. He's got, too much upside and everything like that. I didn't think that was a very hard choice at all. And I've always kind of wanted to have him on my team, being an old Nashville boy and everything. So we'll see.
I like it. All right, Dan. Well, thanks for chatting with us. Good luck the rest of the way, and hopefully you can get 3 or 4 more Giants before it's all said and done.
Wow, I don't need too many more, but we'll see. So,
all right, Dan. We'll see you.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Yeah, that's Dale Stover.
He's on the clock right now, so
yeah, co-host.
I just took one of your favorite players, Mr. Happ, out of the Cubs.
Yeah, this has been an interesting round. Round 9. Well, let me go back and recap round 8 real quick. We had a lot of pitchers go in round 8. So Donovan started us off, Yonder Diaz, Schwarber. Then we had relief pitcher Suarez from San Diego. Then we went Bryce Miller, Yamamoto, Sonny Gray, Jazz Chisholm, Freddie Peralta, and Tyler Glasnow. So 5 starting pitchers in that round. I was going to go for Miller and Yamamoto is who I was looking for. They both went off the round. Then we're in round 9. We led it off with Perez, the catcher, who I'm always down on because at some point he's gonna fall. He hasn't yet. I go Zach Gallen, Arenado goes next. Joe Ryan, Ian Happ, Isaac Paredes. Jones from McCarthy goes from the Pittsburgh pitcher as well. We're gonna bring on our next guest. He hosts his own show. He does a lot of behind the scenes work for the Belly Up Sports Network as well. And at least for me, Kevin, I know you do your own editing of your articles, but he does some editing for my articles as well. And he's the only person I've ever met who claims to be an A's fan. He's also a Phillies fan. Nathan Nguyen. How you doing, Nate?
Hey, boy. It's good to see you. It's been some time. Ben, same to you. It's been some time as we spoke, but good to see you boys again.
Yeah,
first
good.
off, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Last year, you were awarded from our show the most improved fantasy player of the year. You had a huge bounce back year last year. The first year that you were on with us, it just didn't go well. And I actually wondered if you were even going to do it again. And you're like, yeah, I'm in. And then you did. You almost hit the playoffs this year, man. How did you change your strategy, or did it just come a little bit smoother that year?
It's crazy when the strategy literally is just to not choose that many A's players. Like that's all you have to do. It seems like, no, but that first year was rough. I feel like last year, I should say, was definitely a bit more competitive for me. Was kind of checking it more constantly, looking at the waiver wire and all the things. And, the competition is always, tough in this league. So I'm just trying to stay on top. And thankfully I was close to making the playoffs last year. But when you have 9 other skilled, knowledgeable baseball guys like yourself and Kevin and everyone else, it's tough to kind of make a statement. So hopefully this is the year. Things change and I actually make the postseason, but I'm just super excited to hopefully take a step forward this year and see what I got.
So has your strategy changed any to this year than what it was?
A little bit. We're aiming towards getting players from a certain team, a winning team per se. And thankfully to get the number 1 pick this year was good. Got myself Ohtani, which was no question there. But my strategy is just to get guys from winning teams a lot more. So i.e. the Dodgers, I got Snell and Glasnow so far on my team. So just trying to
Ohtani.
Ohtani. Yep, just trying to make the right moves this year. Trying to just get winning players instead of going for biased.
So Glasnow's injury history doesn't scare you off at all?
No, I believe Roberts is, as we all know, one of the best managers out there, and I think because of how deep that rotation is, I think the Dodgers will be able to handle his workload a little bit better, which will lead to more starts and better performances from him. And there's less pressure on him as well. So I have no doubt about that. I could be wrong, obviously, but no doubt about that. I think he's gonna.
what I like the value you got him at. He's your fourth
Heck yeah.
pitcher, your fourth starting pitcher. So it's not like you're depending on him to carry your team.
Yeah.
You got Otani who will pitch. You got Burns and Snell also. So I mean, that's where I like Glasnow. I like him as number 4 on my fantasy team versus number 1 or 2 on my fantasy team. You did get your A in Mason Miller.
Yes.
And we won't knock you for that one.
So,
if you're going to pick an A, that's the one.
Are there any other A's that? Because I was impressed that they made some moves this year.
Yep.
I didn't think they were going to just bring up some AA players and that would be it, but that's not what they did.
Nope.
So are there any
different
players
story
that you
around here?
think that?
Yeah, I'm not afraid to say it. Yes, sir. I'm hopefully to get Sevy later on in the draft for sure. Severino. I like him. He's gonna be our ace, which is you can take with that as you will. Considering how average this rotation is, but Sevy's on my list. Langoliers is a backup catcher for me that I'm targeting. And then Lawrence Butler, who I really, really love, great young prospect. I'm so excited for him this year as well. And of course, Brent Rooker. So those are the A's players I'm trying to aim for. If you guys get them, I ain't mad at it, but
no, it's all good. I like Butler way more than Rooker. Rooker's been going. He's gotten a lot higher than I thought he would go in some of the drafts I've been in already. And I'm not against him, but to me, he's due to drop off. And I think Butler's the guy right now to look at when you're looking at A's on the offensive side of things.
Have to agree for sure. Yeah, Butler, we, as you guys know, we signed him to a 7-year extension. So I'm glad that he's gonna be here for the long run. He has this swagger, so this type of swagger that's good for today's game. And I feel like these A's who are, a young team need that type of energy. As I'm on the clock, holy cow. Okay.
Yeah, welcome back. While you're looking at that, round 10 so far, we had Cody Senga, Tanner Bibby, Bailey Ober, Jack Flaherty, Hunter Brown, Steele, who I like. I like Brown and Steele, and Flaherty's okay, I guess. Walker, another relief pitcher. He's San Francisco. He's going to be one of the top saves guys this year. Sasaki goes. Hunter Green and Michael Harris. I like that pick. Had I not had my outfield full, I was going to take Harris, but I still want one other outfielder, and I figured I'd wait off on Harris there. So I like that pick. Me and Kevin are both big on the Braves this year. We think they're going to have a big bounce back season. You're a Phillies fan also. So
yes.
When you look at that division, you say, I want to make sure you're still on the clock. I don't want you to miss your pick because
no worries. Yeah, I'm trying to make one more pick real quick. I'll just go with this guy right here. I need me a little third baseman.
Westberg. I like it.
Yes.
Talking about the division, and as a Phillies fan, they should be at the top. They should be up there, of course. But there's a couple of good teams still in that division. So, what are your thoughts about the rest of the division?
No, definitely. My co-host, Brian Giminaro, who's a Mets fan, I got to deal with him this season. After he knocked out the Phillies last year. No, that's my guy. I love him. But yeah, the Mets are a good team, man. Obviously, they got Soto, which is going to be interesting to see how that goes. They signed to that big contract, and the Mets rotation is one thing that scares me a little bit. But other than that, you talk about their lineup with Vientos, who showed out in the postseason last year. He's going to be a good one. Alonso's back, which is great for them as well. And that's going to be a good team. The Braves are always a thorn every single year. When healthy, they're really good. Last year was terrible for them injury-wise. Talk about Acuna going down. Who else? I think Free went down for a little bit. Not missed Riley as well. It was just
Strider,
a whole
Strider
too. It was a whole mess for them. So hopefully, as long as they're healthy, they'll be contenders too. I just want the teams to be healthy in the East. That way, better competition. And for the Phillies, look, man, I hope this is the year that they kind of turn it around. Not turn it around per se, but rather just really take that next step forward. Because it seems like ever since that World Series run, it's been like getting a little worse year by year after that. Never will forget the moment where Alvarado let that allowed a 3-run home run to Alvarez in Game 6. That broke my heart. So, but it's okay.
I want to get your thoughts on the Nationals because me and Kevin talked about them last week, maybe.
Yes. We talked about them last week.
I think they're sniffing 80 wins this year.
They're a young team. They're someone to watch out for. Yeah, look, I still, in my opinion, have them in the bottom of the NL East. Or not bottom, but fourth place in the NL East, of course. But they'll be a team kind of like the A's where they'll compete and kind of ruin some teams' postseason chances late in the year. A few guys that come to mind for me for the Nationals, right? Abrams is one guy.
Yeah.
He's someone I was looking at fantasy wise, as long as he can kind of rebound. Because I know last year when it comes to stealing bases, he was kind of caught a lot. So if he can limit those, being caught on stolen bases, I think he'll be good as well. And then I think Mackenzie Gore is another guy, if I'm not mistaken. He's a guy to watch out for as well. A few years ago, he was a top prospect for the Padres and being traded to the Nationals, sometime after. We'll see what he can do. So
for sure.
What about Lowe went from the Rangers to the Nationals? I think that's a step back for him. What do you think?
I think you go from a solid team to a team that's kind of just like still in the rebuilding phase. He's not going to see success with Washington, but it'll be good for him to try. I ain't gonna lie to you, and when it comes to teams like the Nationals and the Marlins, I don't have much knowledge on them. I'm just being straightforward with y'all.
Okay.
But I hope maybe Lowe turns it around with the Nationals. I don't know. It's just he's not going to see a lot of wins in Washington. That's all I know for sure. But it's good for him to new place, new scenery. Who knows what could happen?
Yeah. There are two teams this season playing in minor league parks.
Yes.
Tampa Bay, of course, is playing down in Florida at the Yankees Park, and then the A's in Sacramento. As they have this long process, 3 more years or something before they're in Vegas?
3 more years. Yes, sir.
What are your thoughts on them? I've never been out to those parks out west, especially. So, what are your thoughts on playing in a minor league park? And do you think that they'll fill the stadium better now that they're out of Oakland and in this smaller park?
So first off, with the Rays, it sucks for them. They didn't really have a choice. I mean, the hurricane just ruined everything for them, and they really didn't have a choice in terms of where they're going to play. So obviously prayers to the people still over there. I know they're still recovering as we speak. It's a long recovery process. I don't like it personally. It's not a major league ballpark for a reason, right? Especially the A's. They're playing at Sutter Health Park, and that. I'm sorry. I know they sold out most of their seats for the opener, if not all of them. But really, is that really saying much? It's like 14,000. Of course, you're gonna sell out a stadium like that, right? So it's you can't just say, oh yeah, we sold out the stadium when it's like a small stadium like that. So I personally don't like it. The A's had a choice to play somewhere else. The Rays didn't. So for the Rays, they're an excusable situation there. But for the A's, I still don't. None of us can forgive John Fisher for making us play in Sacramento until we moved to Vegas, which is ridiculous.
How familiar are you with that minor league ballpark?
Not familiar at all. Haven't been there. Don't know if I want to anymore. Ticket prices are through the roof. Apparently, I think we're one of the more expensive ticket prices to start the season, which is ridiculous because, like you guys mentioned, it's a minor league park, which is No, I don't like it. But you know what? That's okay because I'm still gonna hopefully go to a game or two down there. But we'll see.
Are they ever going to wind up in Vegas?
Me personally going to Vegas?
No, the team.
Oh, the team going to Vegas. Look, I mean, we have the patch on the side of the jersey.
Already, I heard that.
That says something, right? So, it's whatever. Honestly, I know. I'm sure we will figure it out and everything like that. But I don't know. I feel like it's not gonna happen. Something's gonna happen. We're not gonna be going to Vegas. I don't know what's gonna happen or how it's gonna be, but I have a gut feeling that something's gonna occur with ownership or something to where it's like, nah, the Vegas deal is off, and we'll figure some way to stay in Oakland some way somehow.
All right, who are you going to pick here on this turn? You got Suzuki at the end of round 12.
Time is running, so crap. I'll give you a relief pitcher. Duran's up here. I mean, he's a top relief pitcher. I know. I was gonna get Jung Hoo Lee for other purposes, which we'll keep that for off air comments. But I think we know my reasoning why almost, but I think I need to see more from Jung Hoo Lee before he's.
I agree. I agree. All right, Nate, tell everybody about your show, your podcast. And again, you're going to be helping behind the scenes with the Baseball Super Show coming up. I know you're doing a lot of work there. You do a lot of stuff with articles that come out at Belly Up Sports too that you don't really get recognized for publicly. So thank you for your help with all that kind of stuff too. But talk about your show, and I know you're involved in a couple shows. So talk about where people can see you at out there in the world.
Yes, sir. So the 30 10 podcast I host alongside Brian Germanaro. We host, we have a show every Tuesday and Thursday live at 12 p.m. Eastern. We talk NFL. You know, right now we're finishing up our MLB season previews. So tomorrow's episode on Tuesday is going to be about the AL and NL East. So that's going to be fun to talk about. You can also find me as a producer / co-host on the Corner Booth podcast that I host alongside Jared Klim and Matt Ordazzo. Love those guys. You know, so grateful for them that they brought me on there as part of their team. And it's been fun ever since. And then, next week is the Super Show. I'll be in the background doing all the little, jinx and whatever kinks or whatever you want to call those background behind the scenes stuff. So excited for that. And I assume you both will be on the Super Show, if I'm not mistaken. So this won't be the last time we'll be talking. Before baseball season. So, but super excited. Thank you guys so much for doing this. As always, you guys are a blessing to talk to, and just thank you again for inviting me onto the show to talk some baseball. And go A's and go Phillies.
There you go. Well, Nate, I appreciate it.
Glad you could make it.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate you, Kevin.
All right.
And we appreciate your effort in fantasy baseball because we hate when people don't put in effort. So,
that's right.
Hey, you gotta try, baby. You gotta try. Even if you're 1-19 like I was 2 years ago, you just gotta try.
You can always be a spoiler.
Your enthusiasm goes to the roof, and we appreciate that a lot.
I appreciate you both, man. Thank you guys so much, and we'll talk next week.
All right, sounds good. Nathan Nguyen, 3rd and 10 podcast on bellyupsports.com is where you can find more information about that podcast as well. Let's run through some picks real quick here, Kevin. Round 12, Cal Raleigh goes over first overall. Jacob deGrom, we'll talk to Chase about that pick in just a few minutes. Horner goes, O'Neill Cruz goes, Schwellenbach, who I was hoping to grab, went earlier. Dad got him. Profar, Kevin, you got him. Batista and Rooker, Bogarts, Suzuki rounds out top round 12. Round 13, Nate took Duran, the relief pitcher. I went with Junior Caminero. Alcantara went. Jung-Hoo Lee went. Kikuchi goes. Kevin, you got him. James Wood, Adelis Garcia, Doyle. Finally, a Rockies. Elizabeth took a bunch of Rockies last year. She's taking a different strategy this year, and I think it's going to pay off for her. But she gets Doyle here in the 13th round. Riley Green and Carlos Rodon round out round 13. We are now in round 14. Kevin's on the clock. He was on the clock. We went Weaver, Cassis, Kirby, Burleson, Sanchez. Sanchez is an interesting one. Hernandez, Teoscar Hernandez, Ruiz, the catcher there. Let's bring on Chase. I told him we'd bring him on around 10. We're in round 14. There he is, though. Chase Thornton.
Chase,
what's going on, man?
How are we doing, gentlemen?
We're doing good.
Chase, a former champion of this league. Not last year, of course, because I'm the champion. But still,
as the regular season champion.
That's right, regular season champ for sure. Chase, I want to start with Jacob deGrom. We've spent a lot of time talking about him leading up to the drafts and things like that. And I think value-wise, I don't mind where he went in this draft. Some people had him as high as round 6, which was nuts. So talk to me about Jacob deGrom and your feelings. How comfortable are you with him?
I love it. I'm happy that I got him there. He's my 3rd starting pitcher. Now, obviously, early season, I may have to be sitting on that a while, but I really think he can return just tremendous value. He looked the little bit that he came back last year, he looked fine. He should be healthy. He's removed from that surgery. He kind of talked a little bit this offseason about how he learned that he doesn't have to throw quite, doesn't have to try and throw 100 miles an hour every single pitch. And if he can keep himself healthy and keep himself on the mound, even if you only get, over a little over 100 innings or whatever, you're getting a little over 100 innings of the guy that might be the best pitcher in baseball when he's on the mound. So Taking him as my third starting pitcher, taking him that late, I was really happy to get Jacob deGrom.
So the player I'd like to get your is Chase is because until last week you could have Sandy Alcantara at the last pick of the draft.
Oh,
Then all of a sudden he zoomed up and he's off the board now in the 13th round.
he'd have been off the board when I came up next if he hadn't have gone. He was a guy I had my eye on.
So
Big time.
so tell us how you think that he zoomed up the board as fast as he did, and is he worth picking this early?
He's a great pitcher, and I think that he looks like should be healthy this year. And one of the things that you got to keep in mind when you're talking about Sandy Alcantara is, do we know that he's going to be there all season? He may get traded somewhere to a more competitive team, but even if he is stuck where he's at right now, you're talking about a guy that can pitch and just pitch the heck out of the ball. I think he's going to have a lot more innings this season than I think people anticipated coming in to the off season. And in this kind of format where we get, points per out, guys that can rack up innings. And if you get those kind of innings out of Sandy Alcantara, if you can if he goes to 170 plus innings, I like 170 plus innings of Sandy Alcantara. He literally would have been gone had he not gone where he went. I would have taken him.
All right. So I'm on the clock and I cannot believe I'm getting ready to do this.
Oh no.
I don't have a third baseman as of yet. So I am going to, your dad is next. So I'm thinking he might do this. So I'm going to
Matt Chapman.
So I'm going to take Chapman right here. And so I hope that's not too early to take him. What's your thoughts on him, Chase?
I mean, as far as he goes, he looked good. He's a great athlete. And, with his glove, he's going to be on the field. They're going to keep him on the field. He's a great athlete. Hitting wise, as I'm on the clock here, let me take a look at things real quick here.
While you're looking, let me run down real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
In round 15 is where we are now. Carlos Correa goes off. Spencer Steer, Jake Cronenworth, Hoffman, Matt Chapman, Christian Walker, Jason Dominguez, and Jimenez off the board as well. I like the Dominguez pick.
We've talked about him.
I picked him in every league I've been in.
So when you're done picking, Chase, I'd like to hear your thoughts on him.
Yeah, right now we're all searching for players.
I know, right? Well, we're all stuck right now.
We're at that point where the guys that are next up in the rankings are not my favorite, and so I got to find the guys that I want as I'm looking around right now. It's Dominguez is a guy I picked up. Like I said, I've been in a couple of drafts. I got him in those leagues. One of them was a dynasty league, so I took him very early in that league. I'm interested to see, as long as they can keep his bat in the lineup, he'll be fine. Hopefully his defense doesn't get him kicked out of the lineup at any time. So Chase goes Ozuna. He is the bane of my existence. I refuse to draft. Marcell Ozuna.
You have to hold your nose right there. You have to. You have to hold your nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a fantasy stud. There's no doubt about it. Last year, great year fantasy wise. For him to last around 15 is pretty incredible. I can't do it for whatever reason.
Is that because he's just a DH? Is that what's holding him back?
It's what held him back for me, and it's what made me really kind of hold my nose and take him. It means I'm looking for a position player somewhere else to replace the guys that have my dual eligibility right now. Because the one thing I'm not real thrilled about here in this draft at the moment is that I don't have a ton of positional versatility.
Let's run through your lineup real quick, Chase. You got a catcher, Yanier Diaz, who's also a DH. First base, you got Vinny Pasquantino, who's also a DH. Jose Altuve at second, that's all he's got. Devers at third, that's all he's got. Abrams at short, that's all he's got. Torres at second, that's all he's got. Casas at first, that's all he's got. Carroll at outfield, that's all he's got. Green, outfield DH. Jordan Alvarez, outfield DH. Ozuna, DH only. So yeah, you kind of pigeonholed in with these guys right now.
I'm literally
which works great
locked
if
in
they stay healthy, right?
Yeah,
if they stay healthy, no problem. It's when the injuries come. And Dad just took Bo Bichette, who was on my queue to go next. But nonetheless, We're going to bring Ryan McCarthy on in a minute as well, by the way. He's made some really intriguing picks today.
He has, and I'm really interested in what he has to say.
Yeah, he just
I'm on the clock, and I'm going to go with Mr. Edman, who was batting cleanup for the Dodgers in the World Series. And shortstop outfield, you can't go wrong with that, I don't think.
All right, Chase, talk to us about what you're excited about fantasy baseball wise this year, and what you're scared about fantasy baseball wise this year.
What am I scared about fantasy? I'm excited to. First off, I'm excited. I've got my own fantasy baseball show now going on that I'm running over at the Fantasy Baseball Advice Network. So I'm diving into it, deeper than kind of I ever have before. What am I scared of? Right now, like I said, I'm scared that I don't have a ton of positional versatility. But I am excited though to see these pitchers who are coming back from injury and see how some of these guys, can operate. It's not just, DeGrom came back from injury last year. Now we got to see, can he sustain that for a full season? But the Alcantaras and the Shane McClanahans and those types, I'm really looking forward to that. Brandon Woodruff from our Milwaukee Brewers here.
That's right.
There's a ton of pitchers across the league. Spencer Strider, when he eventually comes back, there's a lot of guys that I'm looking forward to seeing how they can bounce back from those injuries and what we're going to see from them going forward here.
Let's talk about the Crew a little bit, because I don't know if you knew this or not, Chase, but I'm up in Wisconsin now. I moved to Wisconsin.
Boy.
Yeah.
It's not bad weather right now either. So you picked a good time.
Yeah, beautiful. So we have to go catch a Brewers game sometime. But I look at the Crew this year. Freddie Peralta's the ace. Always, it scares me to death. Like I loved him as
he's not an ace.
Yeah,
he's the ace by default, but he's not an ace, and that's what my contention. I agree with you completely.
Yeah, but you look at that pitching staff, who was surprisingly good last year. I cannot believe what they were able to pull off last year. Nestor Cortez comes over. Didn't excite me. Freddie Peralta's still the one. Woody's coming back from injuries, looked decent here in the spring, so hopefully that's good. There's some exciting young guys that are down in the pit that that could come up and play big roles in the pen. I just lost his name. Yoho. Yeah. The stuff he's throwing right now is nasty. And then there are guys that are there, but health is an issue, experience is an issue. Can the Brewers pull off what they pulled off last year with the current roster as it sits? Did we lose him?
No, I'm still here. I don't know. Are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
We're here.
Can the Brewers pull off what they did last year, this year, with their current roster?
No, I don't see any reason they can't. The pitching is a little suspect, but if Woodruff comes back strong, if Quintana is even serviceable, if Cortez is serviceable, I think they're fine. I still like their defense. I wish they'd picked up a third baseman that I felt was a full-fledged major league third baseman to replace the Adames loss in the lineup. But I think every year they are underappreciated, underrated, and then they just come right out and do what they do. I thought Quintana was such a Brewers type signing, picking him up. Just a guy that no one else was really looking at all that much, but with the way that they play defense, the way that they play baseball, I'm fine with that. In fact, I was really happy with it. And then now, seeing with the injuries that they've had in the last couple of days here, I think that he ends up being like a really kind of prescient signing in a way, because you can never have too many starting pitchers, too many guys to go in that rotation. So I don't see any reason they can't repeat and at least challenge for a wild card spot, if not the division again. I'm not bought all into the Cubs. I know they bought all in when they grabbed Tucker. But I really think it's between the two of those teams for the division again. And if you're second place in a division, and if you've got a winning record, you're in contention for a wild card. So,
round 17, by the way, Gabriel Moreno gone, Bassett, Langeliers, Stott, Keller, Cruz, Finnegan, Bednar, Wu, and Castellanos all gone in round 17. I really feel like this is a huge potential year for Rhys Hoskins at first base. And as a fantasy owner, to get him at the value that you get him at right now, I'm really excited about what he can be this year. Do you think a full year in the league again after his injury and maybe a full off season now healthy too? What do you think out of Rhys Hoskins this year?
I was not thrilled when he picked up his option because I think it really limited what the Brewers could do this offseason in terms of adding to their roster.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, he really has been tearing the cover off the ball in spring training here so far. And I don't put a ton of, stock into preseason necessarily,
Sure.
but at the same time, I mean, man, if even a part of this carries over to the regular season, we'll be a lot farther ahead than I thought we were going to be.
Yeah.
What he's batting 300 something. Almost every hit he's got's a dang home run. It seems like, he just keeps hitting, and that's what they're going to need from him. If they're going to have to keep him in the everyday lineup again, like they did last year. He was a bit of a disappointment last year, but if he can come back around and play a little bit more like the Hoskins that the Phillies got,
Right.
I think we'll be okay.
Talk to me about Bryce Terang. He's a steals, machine. I've seen him getting drafted. He's not been drafted. We're in round 18, pick 173, and he's not been picked yet. Dadgummit, Elizabeth. I'm sorry, Matt Shaw went. He was my go-to guy. I had him in my queue for the next pick. I really like him coming into this year. But Bryce Terang, do you think he takes a step up hitting the ball this season?
I didn't think he was actually all that bad at the plate last year. If he can take any kind of step forward to begin with, he's going to be, golden there. The thing about Terang and the thing about this whole infield shuffling, I really hope, and it sounds like they want to, but I really hope that they just dial in and say, okay, Ortiz, this is where you're playing. Terang, this is where you're playing. And wherever those two shake out, okay, here's the platoon at either second or third between Durbin, Dunn, Monasterio, who is still on a major league roster. And can you tell how thrilled I am about that?
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a great guy. His mother
Great
loves
guy.
him, but he's just not what I want. And Oliver Dunn and like I said, I wish we'd picked up an actual third baseman, but the Hoskins thing might make up for it if he can hit. Like he's showing this spring.
Yeah, and there were options at third base. There were cheaper options. There were more expensive options. There were old options. There were younger options. There were options this year to go out and get somebody, and sadly they didn't. We'll see how it plays off. And again, maybe they just go ahead and go young and say, hey, go get them and see how it shakes out. Jackson Chourio has been amazing so far, and Yelich has looked good in the spring too. If he's healthy, that's a big step. Garrett Mitchell, I think, is due for a breakout season too. So, until he gets popped for roids, our short little right fielder, I don't know if he's going to play right field this year or not, Sal Frelick, he's been hitting the ball pretty hard this spring too.
Yes, he has, and I really like that group that they have, that kind of young core nucleus that they've got right now between Frelick, Mitchell, Chourio, Terang, Ortiz. I think that there's some really exciting things, ahead for that group. They all just need to keep, progressing naturally. And I think if they can do that, I think we're going to be sitting okay. And again, it's like I said, why I don't see any reason they can't repeat the same kind of thing that they've been doing, honestly, now for the last 6-7 years, atop that division.
All right, Chase, tell everybody where they can find you. You do have a fantasy baseball show now as well. I know you're still working on things over with Beyond Women's Sports, I believe, also. But tell everybody where they can find your stuff at.
You can find me on the Fantasy Baseball Advice Network, FBAN, Fantasy Baseball Advice Network. Type that in there, or you can follow me at STT Chase FFB on the Twitter machine and everywhere else. But the show's called Straight to the Chase. And we talk all fantasy baseball all the time there. I'm right in the middle of going through my draft rankings, actually, for everybody. And speaking of getting a brewer, why not jump on that? We need one anyway. But you could find me at, like I said, the Fantasy Baseball Advice Network, wherever you get your podcasts, Straight to the Chase. So we'll be talking next time out here. We'll be talking about shortstops. And then after that, we'll be talking outfielders. And then it'll be just about time for opening day. So.
Awesome. Well, Chase has been in the league now he's been here, I think, every year we've had this league.
That's right.
And a defending, he was a champ as well. He's always one of the top tier guys in the league. And so, Chase, we appreciate your time tonight.
That's right.
And,
we always do.
Yeah, good luck, man. Hopefully, we'll be cheering the Brewers on to success again this year, also. But thanks for coming on, man.
Sure thing. Good to see you, gentlemen.
Always
All right,
good.
Chase Thornton, there you go, fantasy baseball guy. He's been all over it. In our league, he's, like I said, top tier, one of the top. He's been last year top guy all the way through the regular season. So round 18, Nestor Cortez, Cedric Mullins, Matt Shaw, who, Kevin, I've said it in every program we've had this year. I want him on my team. I waited too long on him.
Well, I wouldn't have thought he'd come off the board that early.
Yeah,
Every mock draft I've done, he's been there in the 20s. So
maybe Elizabeth's
that's a bit of a stunner. And
yeah, maybe she's
McClanahan coming off the board. I had him coming off the board also later. So that surprises me a lot.
Well, let's get there in just a second. We've got two more relief pitchers, Roop and Ursig. JT Realmuto goes to Kevin in round 18. George Springer. So this is the retired guys coming in here. Seth Lugo and Jackson Holiday and Nathaniel Lowe takes over the final spot in round 18. We're in round 19 now. Presley, another good relief pitcher, gone. I take McClanahan here. Pena goes, Gurriel goes, Garcia goes, Jonathan India gone to Dad, Max Muncy, Mikhail Garcia, Sal Frelick, and Suarez gone at the end of round 19. We are almost done with round 20. Christopher Morel, Bradley, Manea, Norby, I like him, Robbie Ray, Zach Eflin, Stevenson, Tyler Stevenson, and then we're at Renato Lopez, who I had queued up, is gone now as well. It's my pick, and I don't know who to pick. Kevin,
Stevenson's been hurt. That kind of scared me away. I like him, but he hasn't been healthy for pretty much the entire spring. So I stayed away from him.
I'll go with another second baseman, Bryce Train. We're just talking about him.
Ooh,
but
I like that. I like that. This late in the draft, there's nothing to dislike about this.
Yeah, we'll see how Jackson Holiday plays this year. I like to have a backup in any league I've drafted Jackson Holiday. Let's bring on Ryan McCarthy. We've got lots of questions for Ryan McCarthy. Ryan comes on the show. He just joined the league this year, and we're excited to have him. He's the host of the No Credentials Required podcast. How you doing, Ryan?
Gentlemen,
you know where we're going, Ryan. So
it's good to be back in fantasy baseball.
All right, so let's start with rounds 1 and 2. You decide to go catcher with first 2 picks. Let's hear your reasoning behind catcher at 1 and catcher at 2.
So I thought about this. I thought about my strategy. I'm like, you know what? Initially, I'm just going to go by the seat of my pants and just see what happens. But I kind of hearkened it to my fantasy football selections, and it's tough to get a good running back early. You gotta get a good running back early. So I thought to myself, all right, let's see what's available at catcher. Take Rutschman, and whoever comes after that, best available, take him too, just to get your catchers out of the way. It's like getting your running backs in fantasy football. Get them early because they're going to be few and far between. The elite position players are going to be taken very, very early. So I figured, you know what? Let's get Rutschman. Let's get Contreras.
Yeah.
And let's build from there.
Well, that's a philosophy.
See how it works. So.
If I get the wooden spoon, I get the wooden spoon.
Ryan, there's a player I was targeting, but that was way later in the draft. You took Berger in the 7th round. Tell us your thoughts on him.
I needed a corner. I need somebody at the corner. That's why. Because I was looking at my. So I took catchers my first 2 picks. I took pitchers after that, and I was kind of looking around, going, okay, I need more position players. Let's see what's available. And I said, oh, I need a first baseman. I need a corner guy. And so he was right there for the taking. I saw his stats. I'm going, all right, let's roll with him. Let's see what happens.
So Kevin, you're getting your picked. So I'm going to run through some of these players because actually, your strategy so far, I think, it's actually paid off, Ryan. That's not how I would do it, of course. But you got Adley Rutschman, Jake Berger, who me and Kevin both really, really like. We were hoping for to get him a little later. Matt McLean, who me and Kevin really, really like. Austin Riley, who me and Kevin really, really like. Willie Adames, I love Willie Adames. I don't love him as a fantasy player, but I love Willie Adames still nonetheless.
Dang it, Kevin. I was going to take him.
Well, I'm glad to help you out, Ryan. I'm glad to be here to support you and everything.
Yeah.
Ryan continues, though, to find value. O'Neal Cruz, Max Muncy, Adolis Garcia, Alec Burleson, Jason Dominguez, William Contreras, Connor Norby are all your position players.
Talk about Kumar Rocker.
Kumar
Rocker.
From the Texas Rangers, right up the street from me.
Yes.
And why would you take him that early?
Who played down the street from me a few years ago?
Really?
When he was he left early for Vanderbilt, got drafted by the Mets, said no thank you to the Mets, went to the Tri-City Valley Cats in the Independent League and the Pioneer League, and threw a couple innings to try to get his draft stock back up. Texas takes him, has Tommy John surgery in 2023, which was actually shortly after he was in Tri-City, interestingly enough. So, it was a couple games in 2024, and I was just looking at rookies, and I said, you know what? I remember Kumar Rocker from his days at Vanderbilt. He was such an effective pitcher. And then I remember him from Tri-City Valley Cats, and I said, you know what? Let's roll a dice and see what happens. I'll take him that early, sure.
And you've gone pretty young with your pitchers: Garrett Crochet, Cole Reagans, Jared Jones.
Yeah, I prevent throwing up in my mouth from taking Crochet because he's a Red Sox.
Jared Jones, I like that pick too. I picked him in a dynasty league I'm in.
I was targeting him as well. So you're, must have, except for the catcher part, you and I must, share some brain waves or something's happening there.
Some commonality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. How long has it been since you played fantasy baseball?
It's been at least a decade.
Oh my!
It's been a very long time. I'm trying to remember the last time I actually paid attention to or did any kind of fantasy baseball. It's been at least a decade.
So how is it that you decided all of a sudden to do it this time?
It's been a while. I need something to do this summer. I need something to do this spring and summer. I'm kind of bored, No, but I figured, you know what? What the heck? Might as well do some fantasy baseball. I haven't done it in a while, and Vince found it in his heart to invite me for some reason. So I took the chance. I said, "Yeah, might as well. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's see what happens."
Well, you never know, because Chase was a rookie a couple years ago, and he went all the way to win the championship. So it's not unprecedented in this league for that. So
I'm hoping that the championship run I had in one of my fantasy football leagues will pay off in fantasy baseball too.
Yes, that's how it always works. The luck from football runs into baseball. Ask the New York fans. The Jets, the Mets. The Mets had a good run, I guess, last year. But the Yankees, the Giants. There's not been a championship ring in a little while up in that.
I mean, if you count the Liberty and WNBA who won last year, I guess you can count them.
I didn't know that they won, so that's why I don't count. That's all. I love women's sports. I'm 100% in. I'm a huge supporter of the EKU women's basketball team. Let me clarify that for anybody that hates on that. But I don't watch the WNBA, so I did not know who won last year in the WNBA. But Ryan, talk about your thoughts on Yankees this year. We talked to Brent earlier about the Garrett Cole going down, Max Fried coming in free agency. There's other injury issues there too. Soto's gone now. Goldschmidt replacing another old first baseman. What are your thoughts generally on the Yankees coming into the season?
I've noticed that there's a lot of panic amongst the fan base.
Okay.
A lot of the sky is falling. The sky is falling. Oh my gosh, the sky is falling. Relax. My fellow fans, gotta relax. All right, their pitching's okay. Yes, they're gonna miss Garrett Cole, but they did pretty good without him in the first month and a half, 2 months, 3 months last year. And it's gonna be interesting to see what happens for the full season and what they'll do at the trade deadline, if they're gonna pick up an extra arm. We'll see about that. Hitting's gonna be okay, even without Soto. You still have bits and pieces from there. You still got Aaron Judge. You still got the reigning, defending, undisputed American League MVP in Aaron Judge. He's going to be your guy. I got my eye on Jason Dominguez. I actually drafted him in our fantasy baseball draft because I was looking at rookies to see who make an impact. And he's having some struggles in left field during spring training, but I guess it's an adjustment for him because he's not used to playing left field. So he's going to be fine at the plate. Left field's going to take some getting used to. Offensively, they'll be fine. Relief pitching is going to be good again. Got Luke Weaver as a setup man. You got Devin Williams coming in as the reliever, and that hopefully will dispel the nightmare that was Clay Holmes, who was going to be, I guess he's the 5th starter projected for the New York Mets this year. Good luck to you guys.
Oh
my gosh.
So tell us, I guess your reacting pretty much says it all right there. Because I've seen where people were saying you need to have Clay Holmes on your fantasy team, which I was not ready to step into that. I'm not saying that.
I know you aren't, but
I'm not ready to step into that because that's deep water to me right there. So, as a relief pitcher turned into a starter, I don't think I can advocate getting into that. So
thank you for providing me with the laugh that I needed today, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Like I said, I'm here to help. So
round 22 has produced some decent players. Brent Radlinsky goes with the catcher Wells. Pavetta goes. Pepio goes. Foley goes. That's a solid pick, Ryan. Merrill Kelly, Pete Crow Armstrong, Ward, Suarez, Ranger Suarez, Logan O'Hoppe. I finally got my catcher in round 22. Nick Martinez rounds out round 22. And in 23 right now, we've got Ramos, Brandon Woodruff, McGill, who's going to be the saves guy in Milwaukee, Alejandro Kirk, Mark Vientos. Kevin, that's you talking about value picks. Round 23.
Yeah, Ryan, I want to hear what you have to say about him because he's a Met, and I think he's going to have a great year this year.
I don't pay enough attention to the Mets, but look, I think the Mets are going to have a spectacular year. I think they could challenge Philly for first place in the AL East. It's going to be a 3-team show in that division for first place. I think all 3 of those teams could be in the playoffs. We could see them in the wild. We could see one division winner and 2 of them in the wild card. It's going to depend on Atlanta being healthy. It's going to be depending on the Mets being healthy. I know they caught fire after the Grimace appearance. They caught fire.
That's right.
The Grimace bump. I don't know if it'll happen again. We're going to bring him out for first pitch on opening day and see if they ride that momentum all the way to October. But I think with the addition of Soto, that it helps them boost their offense more. Pitching is going to be, it's the Mets. So it's one of two. Either they're going to go all the way and break your heart, or they're going to break your heart sooner than you think. So I mean, good for them for getting Soto. You can pay all the money you want for him. You're going to get a great player, and it's going to stink that the Yankees don't have him this year. But he moves across the couple doors down to Flushing, and good for him. I wish him well.
Wish him well.
All
right, okay. Ryan, we appreciate you coming on, man. Tell everybody about your show. You got a couple things going on through the No Credentials Required podcast.
Yeah, I got the OG show live Tuesdays and Saturdays. Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern. Replay on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel. Also, we're doing the Three Rails Metro Hockey podcast with Staniel Smooth from Time to BS with Staniel Smooth and Brian Germanaro from 3rd and 10. And I'm currently up, and I'm going to take this guy. Okay. Yeah, Three Rails Metro Hockey Podcast, where we talk Islanders, Rangers, Devils hockey, because those are the three teams in major New York metropolitan area. Also talk a little bit of NHL, and yeah, and I'm actually going to try to bring back some alternative play-by-play this spring for baseball. So you'll probably see me live on the No Credentials Required YouTube channel doing that, and you guys are more than welcome to stop by for a few minutes during some games and go over some games with me. So
Okay.
that's where we are.
I love it. I love it. Well,
That's
Ryan,
great.
we appreciate you. Thank you for joining the league. You bring a completely different perspective to the draft, so we appreciate that as well. And I do not mean that sarcastically. I mean it
No.
truthfully. So
I was definitely interested in hearing your rationale, and since you put it out there, we'll see how it works.
Yeah.
See how it works.
All right, Ryan, we appreciate you, man. Everybody catch him out on the No Credentials Required on the Belly Up Sports Network. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Shellman.
All right. All right, Kevin, we are entering into the final round. Let's recap round 23 real quick. Ramos Woodruff. No, we already did that one. Just kidding. After Vientos, we went Hoskins, Charlie Morton, Ryan McMahon, Royce Lewis, and Lars Nootbaar. Round 24, McCarthy goes from the Diamondbacks. AJ Puck, who I was hoping to get, Chase took. Candelario goes Colton Cowser. Holton from Detroit, Dad got him. That's a good pick. Montcastle, Horwitz, Bush. I take Jason Adam. Gavin, is it Gavin Jacks? I forget.
Griffin looks like.
Griffin Jacks, thank you. Went there at the end of round 24. I like that one as well. So final round. I want to go back, Kevin, about to Vientos because I looked at them earlier. I passed on them. And I was going to get Shaw from Chicago. When Shaw went, I got all flustered. Forgot that I was even thinking about Vientos. I hadn't put him in my queue. Again, that's the value there is incredible.
I think it is because we've talked about him. I had him on my top 10 list of third baseman, and I was looking at it. I was lacking in third basemen. I only had Matt Chapman. Yeah. And that's not a good situation to have him just by himself. But so Vientos was there, and it was a little bit later that it was saying he could go, but I was like, no, I'm going to go ahead and spring forward and get him. So that makes me feel a little bit better about my third base position. Now I'm on the clock, and well, let's see what we got here.
We were both in the same storyline there with third base, and that's why I'm mad I forgot about him. I got Junior Caminero from Tampa, and he's my only third baseman. I've got other guys at first base, so I don't mind the corner spot. But if I have issues at third base, I got no one to replace him. So that's definitely a problem. And I think, again, that value for Vientos there is phenomenal. You go Shenuel there from Los Angeles. Robles goes. Gavin Rodriguez has gone. Byron Buxton's gone. Carlos Santana has gone. We were at pick 7 of round 25. Only 4 picks left in this draft. So, Kevin, let's go ahead and look at your roster. Okay. And let's talk about what you're most excited about, what you're surprised about. Maybe it's not something that you had planned. And then kind of what you're worried about with your roster.
Okay, so what I'm worried about is just what we discussed. You know, getting Vientos makes me feel a little bit better. But, you know, I like the players with multi-position versatility. I don't have a lot of that.
No, you don't. You only have basically one if you don't count the DH spot.
And so that's something that's concerning to me. I like that I got Witt at 5. I went ahead and I took Hap, but I'm wondering if that was a little early for that. But we'll see. I think that we're going to find out because they play tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
So we'll find out. And Hernandez, I let him slip, you know, a couple years ago, you know, running now. And I was not sold on him. And but I got him this time. I got Santander. I think that's pretty good. I went ahead for the 3rd year and got Marcus Semien.
Yeah.
And thought that was a smart thing to do given how second base is. but I got Garcia to back him up, so I think that's pretty solid. And I'm going with no relief pitchers, so we'll see how that works. I think Eflin at my last pitcher spot. He's the opening day starter for Baltimore, so I like that a lot. And I went ahead and took Keller from Pittsburgh after Jones came off the board. I like him. You liked him. Neither of us got him. Yakuchi was a guy that I was talking about pretty much way back in the beginning. I got him. Steele I liked. Yamamoto. Imagina, we'll see him in the next, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after, he'll be pitching. Skeens, I'm still surprised he was sitting there in the second round. And even though I got burned on pitching a year ago, I figured in the middle of the second round, I just couldn't pass that up. So I'm pretty jazzed with my team, except for with the lack of the versatility. But everything else, I'm pretty good to go on, I think.
All right. So on my end, what I'm scared about is catcher. I ended with Logan O'Hoppe. I like to get top tier catchers. And I couldn't take the swing that early. And once two went off in the first 2 rounds, I was kind of like, well, I'm punting on catcher, and we'll see what happens. I hate doing it. I've done it before where it's this constant rotation of catchers in your life. Maybe you hit one. Maybe, maybe the young guy out in Atlanta ends up showing off and winning the job. And even when they get healthy, maybe he holds on and maybe that's a pickup later on down the road, whatever it may be. But I'm not happy at catcher with Logan O'Hoppe being my only catcher there. I love my outfield. Jackson Churio, Julio Rodriguez, Fernando Tatis, Aaron Judge, Christian Yelich, Spencer Steer are all my outfield eligible guys. I'm happy there. First base, pretty happy too with Alonso, Yandy Diaz, and Spencer Steer available. What kind of surprised me was Spencer Strider falling as far as he did. I know he's injured, but I was able to snag him, and I'm pretty excited about that. My starting pitchers as a whole, it's kind of a boomer bust group. So it could be really good or it could be really bad. Chris Bassett, Ronel Blanco, Max Fried, Zach Gallen, Hunter Green, Shane McClanahan, Freddie Peralta. And then I got Spencer Strider and Brandon Woodruff, who will start the season on IL. So I'm going to put them on there, and we'll see. Maybe I can even be patient when they come off, and maybe I got the room to keep them on my IL until they get a start or 2 in and see how things look. And then in this league, Kevin, we have holds, and so I always save my relief pitchers till the end, and I go with guys that get holds versus guys that get saves because everybody's looking for the closer, especially guys that are new to our league. They're still looking for closers. And for me, I just go and find the holds, same amount of points. And there's actually more opportunity for holds than there are saves in most cases too. So I got 2 guys that I really like, Brian Abreu from Houston, Jason Adam at San Diego now as well. So I got 2 guys, and probably once I put these guys on the IL, I'll pick up a couple more because I like to keep relief pitchers in there throughout the matchup as well and get those, especially holds. They're just safer than saves, in my opinion. So fun draft though. We had Elizabeth, who last year was big time homer in this league, and she didn't go that route this year. So I'm impressed with that. I'm excited to kind of see how that goes. I'm trying to pull up her.
I got it here.
Okay.
She got Will Smith at catcher, Olson, Horner, Bregman, Swanson, Jimenez, Matt Shaw, as you mentioned, Kyle Tucker, Brandon Nemo, Brenton Doyle. There's your Colorado selection. Kyle Schwarber, Miguel Garcia. Then she got Tariq Scoble, Josh Hader, Ryan Helsley. So she's going relief pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
Bailey Ober, George Kirby, Bowden Francis, David Bednar, which I that, and Sean Manaea. I don't know about that. He's not even healthy. So Ryan Pepio, I'm not buying that. JJ Bleday, which I think there's a lot of potential there. Then
what
Brian
I like
McMahon,
about it is that she obviously came into it planning to compete. last year she was just going, let's ride the Colorado and see what happens. It didn't go well. So she changed her strategy. I
Right.
like it.
And but she took a couple Rockies, but she took them late enough. I think that she took Ryan McMahon.
Yep.
And I think that's fine. Candelario, and then her last pick was Ryan Jeffers. So she's got some variance here. So, everybody there were some surprising picks, but everybody was trying to be competitive, and I like that. And so, this league, there's no easy outs.
Right.
And
right.
so we've got to work here, especially because I was telling my wife about this, that we put it out there.
Yeah.
This is what our strategy is. And so there's a couple of picks in here I think we got burned because of that.
Yeah, I agree.
But
I agree. That's the hardest part about hosting a fantasy baseball show and having a league
being in a league, that people are watching the show. So, but hey, that's the way it goes, and I'm very pleased with how the whole draft came. I'm glad people came on. I appreciate everybody that came on. Ryan said he wasn't going to be able to, but he came on, so I appreciated that. And Chase is doing his own thing, but he came on, so I'm super jazzed about this show and the league right here.
Yeah, our goal in doing this draft, where people can watch and listen afterwards, is not just to hear our thoughts on, oh, that was a stupid pick or something like that, but to actually understand the philosophy behind the pick. And we were able to do that tonight. I hope that's helpful for you as you're doing your drafts. Many people have done them already. I've got a league that still hasn't even set their draft date yet, and it's really starting to get annoying. But
you need to throw some dynamite into that and get
we got games tomorrow. Come on, it's as we get to the draft, and I hope that you get a chance to hear. Okay, that's what at least some people think about that player, and this is where it kind of gives you an idea as you're going through your drafts of what people might be thinking about along the way. And
that's right, real people, because if you listen to all these experts, and then when you actually get down to the nitty gritty, it's not going the way the experts are telling you it's going to go. So when you're actually dealing with real people, this here is what you wind up with.
Yeah, and I'll say this on ESPN, when you're looking at their rankings, they've done something this year that's really helpful. I think they have their rankings on the left, and one of the options on the things on the right is the ADP. And I actually sort that order by ADP to have an idea of where these guys are going in the draft versus the ranking. Because it used to be people would just kind of look at the rankings and go off of that a little bit. Nowadays, they've got more to listen to. They've got more to study and research. And so they're not sticking to the rankings. And so seeing that ADP on there can really help okay, I can't wait on this guy. He's probably going to go in this range at the very least. And so now some of them are way off. Like Shaw, for instance, he was just way further down the list. But
same thing with, like I said, Alcantara was coming off the board, and I actually put that out there into the Reddit community to see what they thought, and everybody's buying him in the 11th, 12th area.
Yeah.
And but I was drafting him in the very last pick until just a few days ago, and so.
Well, and Chase brought up a great point, right? There's a good chance he gets traded this season. So you can say, well, I don't want him because he's on the Marlins. Well, what happens if he gets traded to the Dodgers or the Padres or the Mariners? He won't get traded to the Mariners.
So obviously nobody was paying any attention to the fact that he's a Marlin and he's coming off injury, because it shot way through the roof. Went from 25th round overall to 11th. So, good for him. I was looking to draft him. I was looking to get McClanahan. I didn't get either one of them. Because you went in there and stole him. So, and he's the opening day starter. So to get him later in the draft, I think, there's no downside to that.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's talk about this week. I got a couple things to discuss, but first of all, Kevin, what do you got going on this week? What are you posting about this week?
Well, since we just got done with this here, I was thinking about what I was going to write, but I thought, well, we got the draft here, so I'll wait and see about that. So there'll be something. I'll look this thing over and see where I want to attack it. If I want to go from where I picked or somewhere else, but there'll be some analysis of this draft that we just got done doing. And then we have tomorrow, you and I, among others, have a dynasty /
Auction draft,
which I have never been involved in any form. No, I've never done any auction. Of course, I've done dynasty and football, but I've never done it anywhere else. So that's going to be a lot different. So there might be something brewing there. And if you, because I wrote last week because we talked about our values, the draft values. I put that out there. It's on the Belly Up page. It's also on Reddit if you want to go over there and see that. So if you haven't done your draft yet, you can watch this here, but you can also go to my article and see what you think.
All right. So let's see here. I've got a football show coming out this week. I think on Thursday night. Dad, who was on here earlier, will join me for that, the Sports Stove Football Show. Then, of course, March Madness is upon us, and Belly Up Sports has a bracket challenge out there. So if you go to at Belly Up Sports on X or Twitter, and you'll see the link there, you can join in and be a part of that competition. It's a great thing. Obviously, you can put brackets in all kinds of different competitions, so why not join the Belly Up Sports one as well? Make sure you check out bellyupsports.com. There's a lot of great stuff going on right there right now. And again, college basketball, we've got baseball stuff that's coming out, a lot of baseball stuff coming out. NFL draft, I dropped my mock draft 2.0 this week, NFL mock draft 2.0. So that's out there on bellyupsports.com. We'll discuss that on Thursday's show as well. And these guys that you saw tonight, with the exception of Chase, are all Belly Up. Well, and Chase is still tied into Belly Up Sports to a degree as well, but his show is second tier to ours. But nonetheless,
so tune into us first.
Yeah, you want to, but no, I appreciate Chase. But the other guys that came on are Belly Up media personalities, and they got shows and they're putting out content and things like that. So you can find them all on bellyupsports.com. You can find each podcast on there, and on the Belly Up YouTube channel. Our shows are always played on there also. So there's lots of ways, but this show, we go live. It's usually on the Belly Up Sports, Belly Up Fantasy Sports Facebook page, the Belly Up Sports Twitter X page, and then once it's done, we put it out on the audio podcast. So if you search Belly Up Fantasy Live Baseball, you'll see it on the audio podcast, or you can go to YouTube, Belly Up Sports YouTube channel, to catch the whole replay as well. But hey, next week we'll be back. Me and Kevin will be back, and we'll be talking about regular season. We've got the series going on out in Japan. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about any storylines that are leading up to opening day, and we'll get you all ready for week 1 of fantasy baseball, and looking forward to that as well. And then throughout the season, we're going to give you waiver wire pickups every single week. We're going to tell you who you should pick up, who you should get rid of. Kevin is he does more transactions than anybody else I know. I do a lot. I feel like I do a lot, but I don't do near as many as Kevin. So, but we do that every single week. We're going to give you fantasy advice, waiver wire pickups. Right. Kevin does a great job looking at pitchers and the matchups and things like that as well. So lots of advice coming your way this season on the Belly Up Fantasy Live Baseball Show. And each and every week, you can find us right here, wherever you're listening or watching now. We'll be here every week throughout the season as well. So that's it. I sure appreciate everybody that came on, and I'm going to forget who they all were, but I know Nathan Newton, Brent Radlinsky, Dale Stover, Ryan McCarthy, Chase Thornton. I think that was all the guests. And then, of course, Kevin, as always, and me too. So there you go. We're ready to go. It's been a fun draft. Tomorrow night, I got my snacks ready. I got chips and cheese, chips and salsa. I got some syrup. That's right.
And so, tomorrow morning I wake up at 5 and the baseball game starts at 5:10, I believe.
Okay.
So I can
have it on at work,
eating breakfast and watching the baseball game.
Yeah.
I don't believe that's ever happened.
And then at work, watching the baseball game.
Well, I won't be at work yet, but
but you're going to go to work and you can watch the baseball game while you're at work.
Yeah, so I'll have to pull it because I got YouTube, Hulu, and so I should be
on Hulu. Is that what it's on?
Well, it's on Fox.
Oh, okay.
And so, but I have Hulu, so I should be able to watch that. Hopefully the boss is not watching this right here. So
the boss doesn't stick around.
That's
an
right.
hour and 39 minutes.
That's right. That's for sure. So, so
anyways,
baseball. We
it's
are
here.
on the cusp of baseball. That's exciting enough. And for those out there, we're starting fantasy baseball, but fantasy basketball and fantasy hockey, the playoffs start this week.
Yeah, they do.
As your dad mentioned, and in fantasy basketball, I am unbeaten going into the playoffs.
Kevin, go knock on wood. Do it quickly.
Oh, here it is right here.
Don't ruin it.
So we'll see how that works out. So there's lots of reasons to get excited.
That's right. That's right. Well, he's Peanuts. I'm Cracker Jacks. This is it for tonight's edition of the Belly Up Fantasy Live Baseball Show. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the draft. And we'll see you next week talking real live regular season baseball. Until then, I hope that you have a great week.
Everybody have a wonderful week.